Hello, everybody. As promised, we've got a double whammy tonight. We've got Lionel and Professor Hamamoto. We are live. The good professor has come on at very short notice, so please don't forget to subscribe to his channel. And I'm seeing you with absolute clarity this evening. That's fantastic. Get your questions in the chat, folks, for the professor. And, you know, I was watching Candace Owens last night. I was just talking to Lionel about this. She said that we've officially gone into upside down land. For 5 years, we were being told that there was no videos, and now all of a sudden there's videos of Epstein's cell, and now you know, all of a sudden there was the list was on the desk, thousands of names, and now the same people are saying there is no list, there are no high-profile clients. Epstein unalived himself. And on and on and on it goes. And it's preposterous, isn't it? It's an insult to our intelligence. What were your gut reactions, Professor, as you've seen this news go viral in the last day or so?
Well, it did not catch. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Attwood, for inviting me back onto this very, very important broadcast.
Always a great pleasure.
I'm glad to join you and your group here. I was not surprised at all by the recent revelations because I have been reading someone that you know, one of our fellow colleagues here, Kirby Summers. This is the third edition of the Jeffrey Epstein Predator Spy. So she's been following this for years and years now. And a lot of the mainstream journalism, including some of the people that you have alluded to already, secretly have subscriptions to her Substack. So anyway, the point is that Kirby Summers from the very beginning said that all these guys are going to skate, right? All these people are involved in the same giant club. Now, while I agree with that, I contend that there's something positive that's going to be gained from these recent revelations. The case closed FBI declaration. I mean, why should we be surprised over and over again? And why should we be whipsawed by people like Megyn Kelly or Candace Owens who feign this? And they just keep their function is to keep whipping public sentiment up. Not just for the clicks, but it's a part of the larger psyop. Okay. We have a history now. Recently, this book was published. It's called L.A. Coroner. It's about medical doctor Thomas Noguchi. And he was the coroner who presided over the autopsies of everybody from Marilyn Monroe to Robert F. Kennedy Sr. And we all know that these mysteries have never been solved and they've been covered up. Yet we are so gobsmacked when we are told by the FBI, Cash Patel, Cash Money, and Don Bananarama. This guy's a YouTuber. How did he get that position? I'm a YouTuber. Maybe I should get into the Department of Justice. And Pam Bunny, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, there you go. I mean, I read his book and I reviewed his book on this channel. I could see him. I reviewed J.D. Vance. Like I said, if you want to know what's coming down the pike, so far as screw jobs are concerned, subscribe to the Professor Hamamoto channel and you'll be in on it months, if not years ahead of time. And we have to be prepared. Preparedness is key here. And toward that end, I draw, and this involves your own application as a martial artist. I'll get to that in a moment. I draw my preparation from classic texts, classic cultural traditions, one being that of Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince, as it's translated in English. It's published around 1513 or so. Most of you know that story. And I confess I am a Machiavellian. Yeah, I agree with his principles because he's talking about the world as it is, not as it ought to be. Given the turmoil, the turbulence of his day, he was trying to figure out, how do you survive in this milieu? And we're undergoing a very similar transformative historical moment ourselves. So I want to dispel this notion. Go ahead, please.
You need to distinguish the present definition of Machiavellian, though, from what you're claiming Machiavellian.
Exactly. I'm going with the classical definition, not the way the aspersions that have been cast upon him as just sort of a smear. So you have to read the Prince. And by the way, it's accessible. It's in bite-sized chunks. It's meant to be readable. And also, I've read I major in political science, so I read these books. And I have to give all credit to, I was 19 years old. I was an idealistic young man who was ready to change the world. And then I had a Professor Mandelman who said, well, listen, man, this is how it really is. This is like, in the post-60s era, right? So we still had stars in the eyes. And he says, well, this is how it's played out historically. And that was my awakening. Okay, that's number one approach. And I'm mentioning this because I think Donald Trump is taking a classical Machiavellian approach. All right. And that's a good thing, right? That's the positive. And the second tradition that I am drawing from in preparedness is that of a completely different culture. Not completely, they're already having cultural, political, economic exchange, but a society, a culture far removed from the Florentine Republic or the community. And that would be the little community. This is pre-Japan. This is the tradition of the shinobi, which was roughly coming about the same time as it was evolving in Florentine Italy, or what became Italy amongst Machiavelli. So they're contemporaries. And the guy's name is Hanzo Hattori. And he was the head of a ninja clan called the Iga. So as I was reading The Prince as a young man, I was also reading books such as this. I happen to have a copy in my collection. It's called The Secret Traditions of the Shinobi. Shinobi means ninja. Hollywood has really debased ninja, and they put Tom Cruise as a hero, or Keanu Reeves, and all the yellow men, the Japanese men, are put off to the side, and they've appropriated it, right? Just like it's called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's called Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. It's the same process. So you have to go to the text, and this is drawn from translations, which, by the way, are taken, they're cribbed from the Chinese martial classics themselves. So there's this whole tradition and here's another classic. It's called The 100 Rules of War. This goes way beyond the cliche of Sun Tzu that every pop-up pundit likes to bring out. This is the real material here. And I'm bringing it up because you have these characters, mostly on the right, who keep talking about China's going to invade Siberia, or China this, or what, there's the true enemy. Come on, man. You're missing the boat here. You're so locked up into your little ethnocentric, nationalistic barriers that you can't see the truth where it's coming at you. So here's one of the, very quickly. And I don't know which form of martial arts. I have you pegged for some reason as jiu-jitsu. Is that right?
So I've done mostly karate, and I am doing kickboxing as well presently.
All right. And Dana White, by the way, he's an American guy. He exploits these kickboxers. They make hardly any money. And Trump is going to have one of his events at the White House on the lawn. This is the Baudrillard Society of the Spectacle Deluxe. That's what Trump is. He is a showman. Why should we be? He's a Machiavellian. He's a showman. He's a dealer. He's a wheeler dealer. Why are we always being surprised? Okay, here's one. Here's principle number 3 from The Secret scrolls of the shinobi of the Iga clan. These are the ninja, not the Hollywood ninja, the real deal here. It says, a shinobi should not be ashamed of falsifying, for it is his duty to outwit the enemy. That's all you need to know about the FBI decision, which was done under the orders of the Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. His job, his goal, his purpose is to outwit and to defeat the enemy, and he's going to do it in whatever manner it takes. Now, that's where our Niccolo Machiavelli comes in, right? So he's going to lull them into this false sense of security. Okay, no more the Epstein files. Yeah, dude, it's gone. You hear all these left-wing pop-up pundits saying, oh, yeah, that's so funny. Alex Jones was crying and puking on air. He was so disappointed. And then the right is rising to the bait. And then you have your Megyn Kellys and your Candace Owens who put the froth on the latte. You know, that's their job. They put the little mixer in there and whip us into a little frenzy. So I'm saying Donald Trump is pimping the establishment. He's buying himself some time and using the material that he has in hand. We all know he has it. There is so-called a list, and there's, I don't know, countless hours of files, MP3s, MP4s, on DVDs, on CD-ROMs, on thumb drives. There's photos of them. He has tons of it. So what purpose would it serve if it was released to a bunch of hand-wringers who said, please, Daddy, please tell us there's a Santa Claus. Tell us there's and this, Mr. Attwood, this is a really good opportunity for Americans in particular, because we're very childlike. It's our time to put on our big boy pants. All right. And Daddy is not going to rescue us. Big Daddy is not Big Daddy. We're going to have to do it ourselves. All right. Let's grow up. Let's stop being candy asses and let's look at the world as it really is, cross-culturally, trans-historically. We're talking about human nature here. We're talking about the contention of different groups and factions and nations. That never ends, and it never will end until we have been transported into Second Life by Sam Altman or Elon Musk or one of the tech bros, right? So we're put into the AI universe. We're heading there via the video games. But until then, we must employ our ninja skills in order to bring down the corrupt regimes of control. And it can be done. It was done within the Florentine Republic. I don't know if it was Republic, strictly speaking, but this was before Italy became a nation. And we're talking about the Shinobi. Hanzo was one of the people who was the architect of modern Japan, Tokugawa Japan. And we're in one of those moments, historical moments now, where the entire political economic system, you know, such as all this talk about Bitcoin and restructuring, we're in that moment right now. So let's be prepared for, as in the world of crypto, let's be prepared for Donald Trump's and his successors, whoever that might be. Let's be prepared for the rug pull. All right, the rug pull is the guiding metaphor here. Right? It's a sucker's game, man. So you must retain your balance. I mean, there's really basic information here about maintaining your balance, watching where you're walking. If you're going around a corner, make sure you take it nice and wide, because you don't know who might be around there. I mean, really practical information that the candy-ass public has forgotten about because we've been busy diddling around on the computer games, thinking that we're badass by playing these single-shooter video games, right? And in the meantime, the republic or the nation has been taken away from us. So, return to the classics. And I mention this because for the classics of literature, not the Greek classics, but people like Walter Scott. I've been going, these are all the books of my child. I'm reading them with new eyes now. And he was telling us way back in the early 19th century how the power structure works. So we have to read between the lines. And you don't learn that in school, but we can relearn this heritage, this rich heritage. We're not starting from ground zero. I guess that's the point I'm making. We have this rich heritage.
Can I just interject that we have a bibliography of Professor Hamamoto's in the description box, folks. I'm not sure whether the new books he's introducing are in that bibliography, but perhaps if the professor emails me them after the show, I could add them to the bibliography.
Will do. Because it requires preparation, and preparation requires study. And you are a karate player, and you know it's kata. Repetition, 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 muscle memory. It's an attitude, it's a mentality. And if you have that strength of mind and spirit, you will never be defeated. You're definitely not going to be defeated by the FBI. Come on. Right. And when you're taking on these institutions, right, they are grounded historically in structures of power that are not going to be gotten rid of overnight, if ever. So you got to read your literature about the real FBI, which is your Knights Templar, the Secret Society. I mean, you've seen photographs of J. Edna Hoover, the founding father of the FBI, who had he's the guy that perfected blackmail techniques. He has a famous photo of him in a Shriner's Fez. They're all connected. This is a long history, and it goes back to the late medieval times. You're going to turn back the clock of history by saying, please show us the files. Please, Daddy, release them. Come on, we're not 3-year-old children anymore. We're adults. We're thinking adults. Secondly, the second point I want to make is that, and you're already doing this yourself in your own media work, and you're writing your books, and you're among many, many others, is that we can compile our own list. We can do our own research. We don't have to depend on the government to tell us how to think and what to think. This is an opportunity for independent researchers to come to the fore. And I don't need to tell you, it's not going to come from the academic world. The academic world is just hung up on what they were instructed to promote from the United Nations or UNESCO. GLBTQ plus and DEI, that comes from the central NATO headquarters, right? So we can't depend on them. We can depend on ourselves. We can depend on our ninja skills to move forward. So with that, I think we're in a very good position. We know what we're dealing with. Yes, please.
I've just changed the video title to "Is No Epstein Client List a Trump Strategy?" And to people who have just jumped on the live stream, so the professor is saying that this is a Trump strategy taken from classical Machiavelli. If you haven't read the text, not the modern day backstabbing, throat slitting definition, but right. the more classical strategic art of war definition. And just to further that a little bit then, Professor, so how would that be beneficial as a strategy for Trump in the long run? I mean, is he able to hold a sword of Damocles over people's heads while putting this story out that there's no list. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he's if he hasn't already, he can imply that, hey, listen, I have all this smut, this dirt on you. Are you going to ease up? Are you going to play? Are you going to deal? Or do I have to pull the trigger on this? He uses this metaphor of card playing, right? Because he's the ultimate card sharper or card shark, but sharper I like. It has a more literary flair to it. He's the ultimate card sharper, and he's holding all the cards, and the cards are the files. And it's not going to, I'll repeat myself, it's not going to do us any good. In fact, I don't want to see these videos. Personally, I don't think I could stomach it. So what good is it going to serve? He's applying ninja skills. There's no shame in lying if the ultimate goal is victory. And who is he going to be victorious over? Some very, very, very nasty people. Right. And I'm willing to go in that direction. I admitted from the get-go, self-disclosure. I'm a Machiavellian. And I've applied these principles in my own life and my own career. They're very practical, and most of your audience has a lot of life experience, unlike these candy asses who play video games and are watching these pop-up pundits and they're cheerleading them. I won't mention their names. And if you have enough life experience, you know that this is the way that every institution operates. There is no justice. There's no closure, as the psychotherapists like to pretend there is. It's just one unending screw job, right? Unless you decide to intervene and says, no, the screw job stops with me. I'm going to refine my ninja skills and I'm going to screw you over to the point where you don't even know where it's coming from. Now that's art. That's artistry. And that's what Donald Trump is going to be doing. He's already starting it. And the big boys already know it. They can sense it. Maybe they've been approached already, but they're going to deal with him because he has the jokers. He's got the wild cards, and he says, "Okay, you want to throw down? Let's do it." And what that will do, to answer your question, it's going to buy him another day, right? He only has less than 4 years now in office, but he has to leave a legacy. He has to stay in office to rebuild the foundation, and leave this legacy. So personally, and maybe that makes me a flawed individual, I don't know, but I'm willing to go in that direction if it's for, and I think it was either Machiavelli or one of his expositors, one of his critics, referred to that as the noble lie. Right? This might have been some political theorist that talked about the noble lie that is the foundations of Plato's Republic, right? And maybe that's what's required at this point. It's also called, in the political science field, it's called political realism. Again, there's a huge gap between the is and the ought. We all want to live in a peaceable kingdom where there's fairness and merit and equality. We aspire to that, and let's keep that moving in that direction. I'm all for it. But in the meantime, we're in the fight of our lives. We've got people in full armor with their knees on our chest. And they think they're about ready to cut our head off. Right? But we have a weapon, and we've got an ankle knife or something, so they might be surprised. Anyway, I'm trying to be practical, pragmatic.
Folks, please get your questions in for Professor Hamamoto. We're halfway through our stream. We are looking at Professor Hamamoto's channel right now, 57,300 subscribers. Come on, let's help him get up to 60K at least in July. And I'll put the link for his channel in the live chat right now. So please subscribe. And if you're watching it on replay, the professor's links will be in the description box. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. First question is from Webbers. Will they have to release Maxwell now since they've announced there's no list?
Well, I think her legal team now has a basis for springing her on some sort of supervised release or getting her out of prison. They're going to say, well, listen, why was she even convicted? Why was she even in prison? So it could happen. I can't predict. But again, let's not get hung up on the personalities. Let's look at the situation systemically. Right. Let's look at the governmental or neo-governmental forces that are behind people such as Maxwell. And I'm not telling anybody anything new where she comes from. You know, she's the fruit of her father's loin, Robert Maxwell. That was one of his names. And he was what they're called as a Sayyim, Sayyim. It's in a book by Gordon Thomas. He talks about the whole Sayyim. Israel has Sayyim. These are assets all over the world, including the U.S. Congress and the FBI. These are Sayyim. Gordon Thomas. He's one of your countrymen. Are you there?
Yep. Still listening. Keep going.
Oh, okay. He was one of your countrymen, and he was kind enough to invite me over for lunch at his home in Bath. He's one of my heroes in understanding the so-called deep state, because I think he had connections with MI and was writing specifically about people like her, the Maxwells. So this is where I'm getting these insights. This is all part of the ninja way of knowledge. This is all Machiavelli was all about grabbing historical, in his case, classical Greek and Roman scholarship and applying them to the present. Instead of studying GLBTQ transsexual ideology, let's go back into history and learn from it. So, yeah.
Can Maxwell bring a civil lawsuit against the state?
If she does, that would be the ultimate, and what Yiddish is pronounced chutzpah. She just might do it. Just, hey, I'm going to sue you because I was wrongly imprisoned. But she'd be pushing it. I don't know, but who knows? Ask me something challenging here. Come on.
All right. Next question is from Linda. And Linda wants to know, what about the kids that they exploited and essayed? Where is the victory for them?
Well, it's not going to come from the FBI or the CIA or any of the alphabet agencies. It's not going to come from the government. Come on, let's break out of that mentality. Daddy is not going to save us. We can do it. And certain civilians, if I can call them that, investigators, non-governmental investigators have been doing this type of work. They have organizations. They've been doing documentaries, films. They're doing a lot of interviewing. One of them is featured prominently on your show. His name, Kevin Annett, all the time. So that he's one of many examples of how there's been a upsurge in this type of work, because all of us have come to the realization that governmental organizations are not going to take the job, going to do the job. And why should they? If we are the government of the people, then why are we abdicating our birthright and our charter, our mandate? Why are we leaving it to someone like Kash Patel? He's a Don Bongino's a YouTuber. Come on. Pam Bondi, she's auditioning for the next Fox News castorette position. That's all she's doing. She just wants to stay in place so that she could be the public face of some cable channel. So let's get real and do the hard work ourselves. And you know what? It's very gratifying. You know this. It's gratifying. It's fulfilling, and it does wonders for the community, for the society, and there's no stopping it.
Viewers, the professor wants some challenging questions. So can you please put some challenging questions in the chat? There's a really challenging one here. Someone's asking, have you trimmed your beard?
No, I haven't. I combed it, maybe.
All right, so
I have some of my Patreon people here. The people who are Patreon members, please ask questions of Mr. Attwood.
I'm not sure if I understand this question, Tatanka. Since the CCP is known to have police stations for the citizens all over, should we try